of the New York Times putting out an article about the CDC. I think you'll find this interesting since what they did directly affected what you did and what people under your auspices had to do during the pandemic. Rochelle Walensky, the director of the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, delivered a sweeping rebuke today of her agency's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, saying it had failed to respond quickly enough and needed to be overhauled. She outlined in broad terms a plan to reorganize the agency's structure to prioritize public health needs and efforts to curb continuing outbreaks and to put less emphasis on publication of scientific papers about rare diseases. This grew out of an external review she had ordered in April after months of scathing criticism of the CDC's response. Its public messages on masking, points out the Times, and other mitigation measures were sometimes so confusing or abruptly modified that they seem more like internal drafts than carefully considered proclamations. Leaders of the agency's COVID team rotated out over a few months, leaving other senior federal health officials unsure about who was in charge. Well, you and the audience and I know that one of the people in the room making decisions, quote, in charge, was Randi Weingarten and the teachers' unions, which had their fingerprints all over the guidance that was being handed down to American schools, even though they didn't have the children's best interests at heart. They cared only about themselves. And I don't think this is going to change any of that. The CDC's one-liner about how it could have done better isn't going to change anything, including the American public's faith in it. What do you think?
No, you're absolutely right, Megyn. And the notion that the teachers' unions with Randi Weingarten leading the pack were editing the proposed CDC guidance over months and had a direct pipeline to the CDC to shape and form what came out of there, that impacted millions of kids' lives and kept schools shut down months longer than they should have been. Parents aren't going to forget, grandparents aren't going to forget, and importantly, kids who have suffered aren't going to ultimately forget. The implications of how this was navigated aren't going to be fully known for years. The kids who are shut out for up to 2 years from their school in person are forever impacted. And all kids, no matter how well their school responded or their system responded, are impacted negatively in some way. We know that the mental health issues, the social and emotional well-being of kids has been negatively impacted regardless. And so this seems like very little, very late, and is, I think, trying to put a little bit of lipstick on a pig.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask a basic question? Why does Randi Weingarten care only about her union and I guess some of the teachers in it, and not at all, apparently, for the children who they're teaching?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. This is about power, and it's about resources, and it's about ability to impact, decisions regarding power and resources. And the teachers' unions, I prefer to call them the school unions because I don't think they represent teachers, certainly not good teachers who have a focus on and heart for kids. They are focused totally on adult issues and protecting a system that for years, for decades now, has not been serving a lot of kids. A high percentage of kids in this country has not been serving them well. They have resisted change at every step. They have, tried to strong arm and muscle elected officials to fall into line with their agenda, which basically protects their livelihoods and their power and their ability to continue to expand their livelihoods and their power. I mean, it's a vicious circle. And that was revealed the last couple of years. They have definitely overplayed their hand at every step. And now they're trying to, wind it back in some way and suggest that it's the parents and it's that, it's the other party that was actually politicizing all of this. No, it was not. It was the teachers' unions at the core of all of, what happened to kids these last 2 years. And parents had a front row seat and they know it.
I'm going to play that soundbite in a second, but can you just tell us, because this is in the book, about your experience with Randi Weingarten and touring the schools of choice, yours and hers?
Yeah, so on my first day in office, I called both Randy and Lily Eckelson Garcia, who was head of the NEA then. Lily refused to even speak with me or meet with me ever.
Wow.
And I never did have a conversation with her, although I reached out and said, I know we have some things we can find and work on together in common on behalf of students.
Unbelievable. That's the
Randy
largest
did.
teachers union in the country, just refusing
right.
to meet with the Secretary of Education. Okay.
Right. Yes. Randy did take my call, and we had a pleasant conversation. We both agreed that she would visit a school of my choosing with me, and I would visit a school of her choosing with her. We scheduled her school visit first, and it turned out to be a very nice visit to a rural school district in Ohio, Van Wert. And we had a pleasant visit, a pleasant day. And, it was great to see kids, working, learning, great teachers. I think she took me to that district because it was a heavily Republican district, a stereotypical, rural school, one high school in a big, large geographic area. And was pretty emblematic of what some rural Republican legislators have maintained, that there really aren't other choices for kids in rural districts. But I think what we saw there was that actually there were 20 or 25% of the kids in that area whose parents were choosing something different for them because that particular assigned school didn't work. But all that to say, the visit was fine. It was great. But she refused then to actually schedule a visit to a school of my choosing. And so that never did happen. Unfortunately,
she broke her word.
Because it would have been, I would have made sure that, she had a good experience and then hopefully would have learned something. Again, focusing on students brings you to a lot of different kinds of solutions than focusing on a system and on adult issues.
So as everyone starts to go back to school over the next few weeks, do good by helping feed children who are facing hunger and food insecurity. Our partner, Good Ranchers, is on a mission to donate 100,000 high-quality meals to young children who often go unfed or who are malnourished from poor access to nutritious food. You can join this campaign by ordering a box of 100% American meat. Every order contributes meals to the cause and makes a huge difference in the lives of these children. Good Ranchers is an award-winning food delivery service that brings 100% American meat and seafood to your door. They source the best of American farms so that you can get the highest quality food possible and trust what you are feeding your family every time. Go to goodranchers.com/Megyn to join the movement today. You will get $30 off your order, free shipping, and donate food to children in need. Giving back never felt or tasted so good. Let's help them hit and pass their goal of 100,000 meals donated. Go to goodranchers.com/Megyn. That's MEGYN. You can just use the code at checkout if you prefer. Change the future one meal at a time with Good Ranchers. goodranchers.com/Megyn. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.